Welcome back to Unlisted, your local real estate development and news show, podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're on episode. We are on episode 6, I believe, right? I want to say Salem, Massachusetts. Please do not come for me.
They do.
They did. I ended up on the Salem, Mass Reddit page, subreddit. And people were, I know, and people were like flipping out about the Shetland Park video and the fact that, we talked about that. Look, we're just talking about it. I have like no connection. In fact, the developer did call me and I didn't call them back to talk about the project. So,
yeah, we're getting a lot of people calling and wanting to be on the podcast and having feedback. I think that what we are trying to do, to be clear,
is very clear,
is to present as many factual bits of information about what's happening in the North Shore in our communities and affecting the state at large. So if we're wrong, we apologize. It is not an intent. We're not trying to skew things. We are not,
And also the thing is, like, these episodes can get really, really long if we get into the weeds, the nitty gritty details about things. And so a lot of times we're just trying to keep it as like a general overview. So with Shetland Park, people were upset that I didn't mention that there were a lot of human and health services
at that site,
that are there that could be displaced. And, again, it was just a general
Well, those buildings are old, and there's a lot of like law offices. The Registry of Deeds used to be there. But if you go down there and look, it's a very 60s, 70s looking concrete complex.
I think they're kind of cool buildings.
I had a feeling you would.
All right.
So anyway,
with that said,
yes,
there's a new development
in Salem.
There
you go. Okay, get your darts out. Shoot her.
Right down the street.
Perfect.
Which is Salem. It's called the Forest River Residence. Harrison Road and Loring Ave, the former Salem State South campus. It's a large-scale rental development, part of a major redevelopment project by our favorite people, Avalon Bay and Wind Development. I don't know anything about Wind Development. I just know that I think that they're the ones that actually build these on former Salem State land. Okay, so the details. 340 units, 5-level parking garage with 524 parking spaces, 2 enclosed outdoor courtyards, 34 units at 60% AMI, which is fantastic because most of these buildings, it's only 80% area median income, which is for affordable units. And then there will be 34 80% AMI units. So that's a total of 68 affordable units. The proposed work also includes approximately half-acre centrally landscaped common, extension of the existing Harrison Road, connection to the Forest River Conservation Trailhead. This project is the first phase of a multi-phase project known collectively as the Forest River Residence.
Sounds like another big project.
Well, the thing that I have heard the most chatter about this is just the look of the building is, I guess the right word is offensive to people. And to be honest with you, I'm going to agree that
it looks like an Avalon.
Right. It looks like a very modern.
Very block, and then they change the blocks to different colors to make it break it up, to make it look more like a neighborhood, which it doesn't.
No.
Right.
And so, I mean, look, it would add construction costs to change the exterior. But, we're talking about Salem, Massachusetts, and they've put a couple of these buildings that look like this there. And it's like, can we maybe make something that kind of goes with just exterior wise, goes with the neighborhood feel a little bit?
Historic town.
Exactly.
City, rather.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, and then the other thing about this that I was talking to someone who is involved in city politics, and they said that their biggest complaint is that this isn't walking distance. And it isn't. It's a pretty significant walk to downtown. I think it's about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's not near the commuter rail. The commuter rail is probably a 20-minute walk. So that's like the big, I mean, there are buses that
Sure, but that's a
do.
good objection. That's a valid objection.
Yeah. And I know that a percentage, I believe, don't quote me, is going to be senior. There's going to be a percentage of these that are senior housing as well. So, I mean, again, I see the criticism. Like, those are valid criticisms of like.
I'm not a big fan of the Avalon look myself.
I'm not either. I hate to say it.
Yeah. I mean,
the new massive apartment complexes, like, it's just like it. And in like 15 years, are we going to turn around to look at those and go, God, remember that time? Just like the modern farmhouses of the era, you know?
The thing that I think the thing that I object to in these units is not, I mean, I don't like the way they look, but having been to one of them and talked to the salesperson.
Yeah.
They're really, there's no there there. There's no human being to talk to. They have salespeople and everything is, this is not going to be for a Salem State
Most
student.
likely no.
Because
unless they have wealthy parents.
Because these units are all very small and very expensive per square foot.
Yeah.
And they seem to think that if you give amenities, you don't have to give living space. And I'm not really a big fan of that concept.
No, I'd rather have more living space and less amenities.
How many people I would go in there and see, like I would like to go into Avalon in Somerville, for instance, and look and see how many people are actually at the fire pit on a weeknight and at the dog washing station and in the conference room. They're all empty, I'm sure, but
most of the time.
Yeah. Anyway, so moving on to Amesbury, Kimball Road. So this is not approved and is very controversial, and there's a lot of pushback. And the city has submitted formal technical comments raising concerns about traffic, infrastructure capacity, wetlands, and emergency access.
So what we're talking about, it's I believe 9 or 10 acre parcel off of 27 Kimball Road. And they're looking at putting around 85 units there. Residents who live in that area,
it's very bucolic.
It is a very like quiet.
Yes.
It is one of the more like rural feeling parts of Amesbury.
Very pretty.
And so I think that I know that a lot of people, I've read some of the abutters like letters that were sent to the city council. Is it town or city in Amesbury?
City.
Okay, that's what I thought. And they were like, we moved here to this particular area because it's quiet.
Yeah, there's a few old farmhouses out there. And there's some
you're
town land.
You're right on the border of New Hampshire. And also there's quite a bit of concern from the police department about the road and how small and how windy it is. And there are no sidewalks. So I
don't think there's any streetlights either.
No, I don't think so. So when we talk about these developments, people think that just because it's been submitted to the town or the city, it means that the city is on board with it. And in this case, they're not. So far, they're not. They have serious concerns about this project, and they're asking for more studies before they go forward with it. So I just want to be clear, when there are times when the town pushes back or the city pushes back. It's not everything gets a green stamp of approval.
Right.
And I honestly don't know that this is the right place for a massive project like that. I don't. There's a lot of conservation land there.
It has its own character that would definitely be destroyed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't usually hear,
I shouldn't say that.
You don't usually hear me saying that, but the thing is, Amesbury's getting a ton of units.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think they could do without this one. That's my general opinion.
Yeah, the one that I like, though, is the Carriage Hill Lofts that's coming on board on Oakland Street.
Yeah, that's right near John's former studio.
Right. There's a lot happening over there. I just saw a hedgehog closed.
What's hedgehog?
It was a little market that was there. Yeah. And I thought that was very sad. I wondered, and this is not in our notes, but I wondered because they were selling a lot of high-end meats and produce and stuff like that in addition to baked goods, and that stuff is really hard to sell unless you do volume.
Yeah.
So I wondered, and actually the owner was super sweet and she babysat for you.
Yeah.
So
I think the location was a little bit of a challenge too, because it was off the beaten path and it's hard
to
get.
But if they start taking advantage of building in these lofts, then they'll it's too bad they couldn't hang in there longer.
What we're talking about is 9 Oakland Street in Amesbury. So this is the industrial old mill area of Amesbury, near downtown. What is that restaurant that's in the former train station there in Amesbury?
The Barn?
Crave? Is that what it's called?
Oh, no. Crave's a couple doors down. The Barn.
Yeah, okay. So behind that area, for people who don't know Amesbury, that area down there, and it's off of Elm Street if you go down Chestnut. Yep. It's right, and there's a bunch of old factories that are basically empty.
A lot of them.
A lot of them are empty, or they're just in really bad disrepair. Maybe they have a couple of like old companies in them, but they don't look great. I think Bear Wolf Brewing is over in that area too. Yep. I'm not a beer drinker, but what we're talking about here is 24 apartments, 7 live-work studios, which is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
3 commercial units, and it's downtown infill location. So the building already exists. They're going to obviously expand upon it. The renderings, which I'll put up on the screen, are beautiful.
The other thing about it that's kind of cool is if you walk down through there, you get to the bus terminal. There's a
that will take you to all over
the transit center of Amesbury that has a
massive transit
it has
center.
A garage, a municipal garage.
Yep.
And that area I have always felt has incredible potential, but is completely underutilized.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really good way of, because it's further back, it bridges the gap between where Zach Field's drums and in that building where the chocolate store used to be. All it just kind of wraps that all together, which is really
it connects that residential area of Elm Street with the downtown.
That's right.
And it's a great. I mean, the fact that they're doing live work studios is awesome, because you never see that.
Well, I think everybody, whether they're looking for a rental or a permanent, purchase, they're looking for a place where they can live and work, because they work at home. And when we go out and show property to people, they're always like, well, but I need an office.
Right.
But I need an office. And if you do a larger scale kind of work, and
it's just you.
Right. And you make custom bikes, or you do graphic design. Or
you're an artist, whatever it is, and it's not just for artists. It's any kind of live work. But I think that this is a really fantastic use of this location.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's within distance of downtown. I don't see any negatives.
I don't either.
So we'll see.
But if anybody wants to chime in and tell us why it's bad, we want to know. That
Someone
too
will tell us.
Live work clearly aimed at entrepreneurs and remote professionals. Yeah. So then let's get over to
Rowley.
Rowley, over the river and through the woods to Rowley. So Rowley is such a small town, and it doesn't really have that many projects at all. So there are some.
There's been a bunch of large single family home projects that are very expensive subdivisions that have gone in recently.
$1 million, not 2 million, but $1.5 million
to 1.7 or something like that. Homes that very few people can afford.
So Windward Crossing Senior Housing.
Yep,
so
another
cool.
senior housing. Yep.
Harbor Light Homes is the management company.
Off of Newburyport Turnpike. So it's a senior housing development managed by, as you said, Harbor Light. It will feature 20 one-bedroom, energy-efficient, and accessible apartments for individuals aged 62 and older, with 15 units reserved for those with 30% or less of median area income, which is a deeply affordable unit, which is amazing. Harbor Light Homes does wonderful
Well, look
work.
At what else they're doing. The project includes a 5-person group home for adults with developmental delays and a community center. So I think it sounds fabulous. There again, we want to hear from you. We put this stuff out there. We don't live there.
And so there's going to be 11 assisted units. So it's a mix between independent, assisted, income restricted. And right now they are going through the environmental review process. But I mean, it seems like a win. And like I said, Harbor Light Homes does a lot of similar work to what we do at the YWCA and the affordable housing section of the YW. They're a fantastic organization, and they just do really, really great work on housing that is desperately needed. So I always say this, but I can't see there being pushback on this, but
let's see. We will follow up and let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit from the mother's perspective here. Tax laws regarding giving your kids money. So traditionally, we have always thought that if a buyer says my mom and dad are going to give me a down payment, that it had to be limited. So there's two ways it's limited: limited by the tax laws and limited by the banks. How much can they give? Well, actually, the misnomer or the misconception was that you could only give your child $15,000 a year, or there's tax implications for one or other, the donor or the recipient.
Okay.
That is actually not true.
Okay.
The gift and inheritance taxes, your gift and inheritance. So let's say, and we all know that my generation has a lot of wealth from the uptick in housing, and also just the economic situations over the past 50 years have taken us to where we are now.
You guys were incredibly lucky.
We were very lucky. We were very lucky. And our parents paid for it by going to the world wars. But anyway.
And our generation is not.
There's not. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you here is, if you would like to give your children more money, and you all should if you have it.
Can't take it with you, guys.
Right. So it actually is not true. You can actually give a lot more than that if you file a Form 706 with the IRS. And what that allows you to do is give your inheritance in advance, basically.
Okay.
So a lot of people, when they are...
Do you want to do that?
I think I already have. You want to talk?
No.
Anyway, so most families never have to pay any federal gift or estate taxes, which is great. So in Massachusetts, there's a $2.1 million limit on what you can give your kids before they're taxed.
Okay.
So this is not
a pretty significant amount of money.
So it's, if this is great for people who want to gift their children $50,000 or $100,000 for their down payment on their house.
Then there's no tax implication as long as you file this form.
That's right. You have to file the form. And the other thing with the lenders, it used to be the lenders wouldn't allow it, but now they'll allow it. But the recipient, the applicant, the buyer, the child, adult child, has to contribute part of their own money. So they have to have 5% of their own money, because the thought is they want to make sure that these people actually know how to be homeowners.
Is that true?
Yes. So if I gave my son, who does not own a home, money to do a down payment on his house, he would also have to have some money either from his 401k, something, 5% of the down payment.
Oh, no. 5% of the down payment, not 5% of the purchase price.
Oh, no, that's not true. 5% of the purchase price.
No, because that cannot be correct. Because some people's down payments are only 3%. So why would you have to have more than what is required by an FHA loan? That makes no sense.
Because you have more money and you want to get you want a bigger down payment.
But what if your parents are only giving you $10,000?
Well, then talk to your lender.
Trust me, it's not that cannot
well,
be the
I don't
case.
think you're right, but I think that we should have if any lenders out there want to chime in and let us know, because that was what I read. So we just did some research. Rach, what did you find? We're both right. We're both right.
Yes. So
I love it when that happens.
For conventional loans, you can typically have the whole thing gifted. So, all right, for jumbo loans, which are, would you say, over 7 something?
Yeah, the jumbo loan is set by the government. Yeah.
So that they might require you to put in some of your own money, like 5 to 10%, but it really depends on the loan program, and it's 5 to 10% of the total purchase price.
That's right.
You will need a gifting letter from whoever it is giving it to you. I at one time had a buyer they took money out of the wife's account instead of the husband's account, and the husband was the only one on the loan. So then the wife had to write a letter
for her husband
saying like it was their account, but it was like that it was a gift from her to him when it was, you know what I mean? So as long as you have a gift letter, you'll be fine. But the point is, there's no tax application.
Right. The point is no tax, and don't be. And I misspoke. It's for IRS Form 709, not
IRS
706.
Form 709.
709. So, so it used to be people would think they could give, as married couple, I could give $19,000, and my husband could give $19,000. You can still do that.
Yeah. But and you don't have to file the form.
You don't have to file the form.
But anything over that you do, is there a ceiling to the amount before tax?
No.
There.
No. No, yeah.
There isn't a ceiling?
For what?
How much you can give before you get taxed?
You don't get taxed. I'm not sure what you're saying, honey.
So is there a cap in the amount that you can give to your kids? Can you give them $5 million?
No, I already said that exceeds the $2 million inheritance.
That's what I was just.
So it depends. You can give a gift or you can give an early inheritance. Those are the two categories. If it's an early inheritance, it requires that Form 709 from the IRS.
It has to be under $2 million or else.
Yes.
It will be taxed.
But I'm not really worried. I'm more concerned about people giving their kids some money so they can buy a house.
Got it.
Not $2 million. All right. So the other thing that has changed is there's new rules regarding Airbnb tax deductions. So this is really good for people who are W-2 employees who want a little side gig. They want to have an Airbnb. I know you hate Airbnbs. I see the folded arms and the face already. But what it actually does is gives you bonus depreciation. So 100% bonus depreciation. So it used to be if you had a rental property, you depreciated over 10, 20, 30 years.
Right.
This you can...
For tax purposes, obviously.
Yes. This you can deduct the depreciation 100%. What does that mean? That means when you buy you can write off the amount, the purchase price, the furniture, the appliance, the TVs, electronics, the flooring, the decor. The big key... Typically, they'd be depreciated over 5 to 7 years. The big key is that you have to actively manage the Airbnb yourself. You cannot have a service do it for.
What do they call that? Our I don't know. It has a weird name. I forget what it's called.
So you can't. You have to actually actively manage. It means that doesn't mean you can't hire a cleaning person, but you have to hire the cleaning person to go do it and pay them, or you have to pay for it yourself. So documentation required is that you need to keep records for every purchase. You need to track the date each item is placed in service in the rental, and tax preparers typically claim deductions using IRS Form 4562, depreciation and amortization.
And you'll need a 1099-K, which platforms like Airbnb will give you yearly.
Yes. What you cannot do is you cannot be, if you are someone who lives off of interest, if you live off capital gains.
Yeah.
So say you have a huge stock portfolio and you're going to take money out of your capital gains, you cannot write it off against that. It has to be income, active income. So you have to work for it.
This is like, I just have to say, this is like another language for me because like I don't like you're talking in cursive to me.
Well, that's okay. I know how to write in cursive too because they used to teach it.
But like, okay, can you break that down for people who like don't know like these fancy ins and outs of like tax law? Because like this is just like confusing. So
okay, let me put it this way: if you have an Airbnb now, you can write off your improvements and your purchase of the Airbnb over 5 to 7 years.
But you have to have other W-2 income to write it off again. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And if your only income...
Or 1099.
Okay. All right. But if your only income comes from like a stock portfolio...
You can't write it off against that.
All right. So
I'm not sure about the 1099. Definitely W-2s can do this.
So basically, if you're retired then and you have a stock portfolio, or maybe you're not retired, maybe you're just independently wealthy with a large stock portfolio, which there's plenty of people that have that, right? You cannot write it off, but if you have a job, then you can. So I wonder why they put this into law.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know, but
it's just interesting because it seems like, I mean, on paper at least, not on paper, in the media, that the government is looking to like get away from things like this, that they feel harm.
Well, this was all part of the big beautiful bill.
Excellent.
There. So large Airbnb purchases may qualify for first-year deductions through bonus depreciation. What is depreciation? Is that what you're like your head spinning? So what is your head spinning about?
It did say it has to be something that was placed in service after June 25th, 2025 or something. June 15th.
This is a new purchase. It's not retroactive.
It doesn't. Okay, that's important to note. If you already own the Airbnb, does not qualify. If you buy a new one,
sell it and buy a new one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So accurate record keeping is essential. So you can deduct these from your income, just like you can deduct your mortgage payment or your state and local taxes. So, which is another big gift that salt taxes have been raised, so that have been changed, so that now it used to be you could only deduct a set amount of your interest. Now you can deduct all of your interest, and
it was $10,000 right before.
It was $10,000. Now it's $40,000.
Well, I wish my taxes were higher. No, I don't.
Well, no, but it includes state and local taxes. So it includes your excise tax on your car.
Oh.
Yep. It includes your real estate taxes.
I just paid my excise.
It includes your state income tax.
Oh.
So if you're paying into the state, that income tax now, it can be added. Say your interest on your house is only,
I think mine's like $7,000
a year. Yeah. Well, you can tack on top of that the other pieces. So what was I just talking about?
Excise tax.
Your excise tax, your state income tax, which is a lot in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
So you
5%.
could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. You add those together.
So, okay.
You add those together.
Yeah.
And up to $40,000 you can deduct.
But like, this is my question. So state income tax, but then you can then write those taxes off?
That's correct.
That doesn't make
against
any sense.
Your federal return.
That's so weird.
Well, that's what it is.
All this stuff is so...
Well, it's very granular, and it's very in the weeds.
That's why you need a good CPA. Shout out Dan Schaffner.
Dan Schaffner. Fritz de Guglielmo.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Fantastic CPA.
Yep. So those are just some tax changes that have been made. I'm not saying they're positive or negative. I'm just saying that they happened.
It's interesting that, like, because I guess that would be considered an incentive for short-term rentals. And we've actually seen a dip in the short-term rental market. So it's really strange. I'm just saying it's strange timing because...
I thought so too. Because I thought we were going in a completely different direction.
Right.
But yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
Interesting.
That's all I'm going to say.
That's all I'm going to say on that. All right. Well, that is the end of episode 6.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Happy spring. We have to say that.
It's 70 degrees outside today after the coldest winter, snowiest winter in 10 years.
Yes, it is.
I thought about taking my snow tires off of my GTI yesterday.
No. You live in New England. Don't.
And someone said, "Don't be fooled."
And don't jinx us all.
That's a good point.
That's a really good point.
Keep your snow tires on, everyone.
Yes, and wear your down jackets, even if it's 70.
Don't put it away yet.
All right,
because it will come back. This is deceptive spring that we're in.
It's
like Indian summer, but in retro.
Teas.
It's like the little hint, like, hey, it's gonna get warmer, and then as soon as you're like, oh wow, this is really great, it's like
it's gonna be 21 degrees.
It's 21 next day and snowing. So
yep. All
welcome
right.
to New England.
So
see you on the next one.
See you on the next one.